Soul Land 2, Episode 70. Shrek's 7 devils represent the Tang Sect in battle, with Wang Qiu'er defeating Juechen in just 2 moves, leaving everyone stunned. The story continues as Huoyuhao gains the ability to copy others' soul skills. During a Sea God Pavilion meeting, he proposes developing soul-guided devices for the exclusive customization of soul masters, an idea that gains recognition. After the meeting, Elder Xuan asks Huoyuhao about Wang Qiu'er, to which he praises her, stating that in a one-on-one fight, he isn't sure he could win against her. He describes her as cold on the outside but warm inside, with limitless potential for future achievements. Elder Xuan, intrigued, asks if Huoyuhao truly trusts her, even though she just entered the inner court, to which he nods in agreement. Later, Elder Xuan gathers the Shrek 7 devils and informs them about changes to the soul fighting tournament format. The Sun Moon Empire and the 3 duel countries have altered the rules, expanding the scope of eligible participants, allowing all sects to compete and doubling the number of teams. While the Shrek 7 devils are concerned, Elder Xuan reveals that this change might actually benefit them. He hints at the possibility of allowing them to represent the Tang Sect, explaining that Shrek would send another team. This way, Shrek would essentially be fielding 2 teams, ensuring double the chances of victory. Though Bebe worries that if the Tang Sect wins, Shrek's legacy might be tarnished, Elder Xuan dismisses these concerns, emphasizing that the 7 devils are all Shrek students, and their victory would still reflect the Academy's greatness. He also mentions that Wang Qiu'er will lead Shrek's official team, assuring them that the Academy has other outstanding talents. Ultimately, the Shrek 7 devils agree to represent the Tang Sect, driven by their shared desire to rebuild the sect and make it famous, fulfilling both Tanya's and Bebe's dreams. Bebe, filled with excitement, hopes that if the Tang Sect wins, the news might bring Tanya back. After leaving the Sea God Pavilion, Bebe suddenly remembered something and told Huoyuhao, "By the way, little junior brother, a few people came looking for you the other day. They seemed to be from the Sun Moon Empire." Huoyuhao's eyes lit up as he guessed who it was. He excitedly asked, "Senior brother, wasn't it a soul engineer named Xuanziwen?" Bebe nodded lightly. When Huoyuhao explained who Xuanziwen was, Bebe became equally interested, as Xuanziwen was an 8th-rank soul engineer and chief researcher of the Hall of Might. Huoyuhao sighed, thinking that with Xuanziwen's expertise, the Tang Sect's hidden weapons would become famous across the duel continent. Soon after, the group returned to the Tang Sect, and Huoyuhao was surprised to see 2 familiar figures, his old rivals, Juechen and Jin Zixuan. Jin Zixuan teased him, asking if he wasn't going to welcome them. Huoyuhao smiled wryly, surprised they had found their way to Shrek City. Jin Zixuan playfully challenged him to a fight, but when Huoyuhao suggested it could be 7 against 2, she was speechless, while Juechen took it seriously, raising his iron sword. The 7 devils, feeling the sharp sword intent, were startled and wondered if Juechen was Huoyuhao's enemy. Huoyuhao quickly clarified that they were his good friends from the Sun Moon Academy. Curious, Huoyuhao asked if they had come all this way just to fight him, to which Juechen shook his head. Jin Zixuan, however, energetically replied, "We're here to fight a lot." Huoyuhao, taken aback, asked if they didn't have school to attend. Juechen revealed they had dropped out, explaining that every time they sparred with him, they grew stronger than they did at the academy. Jin Zixuan seriously requested a place to stay, insisting that Huoyuhao spar with them daily, or they would follow him wherever he went. This left Huoyuhao dumbfounded. Juechen, already itching for a fight, raised his sword, ready to begin. Just then, Wang Qiu'er's voice called out from outside, interrupting the tension. Seeing her, Huoyuhao quickly invited her in, offering her the soul bones if she wanted them. Jin Zixuan, shocked by the resemblance between Wang Qiu'er and Wang Donghua, rubbed her eyes thinking they were twins. Both women clarified they weren't. Even Juechen, usually focused on his sword practice, was momentarily distracted by the 2 beautiful women. However, he quickly regained his composure, raised his sword, and challenged Huoyuhao once again. He proudly announced his new understanding of sword intent, which he named Dragon Slayer. Amused, Huoyuhao turned to Wang Qiu'er and remarked, "Dragon Slayer? Qiu'er, Look, some people are presumptuous enough to name their ability Dragon Slayer. Huo Yuhao teased Juechen about the name Dragon Slayer for his sword technique, asking Wang Qiu'er if she could stand it. Wang Qiu'er, playing along, coldly replied, "No, I can't stand it." She then stomped her foot on the ground, causing the entire Tang sect to tremble as if it had been hit by an explosion. Juechen, unfazed by the change of opponent, welcomed the challenge. Wang Qiu'er, like a golden meteor, charged at him, while Juechen stepped forward, thrusting his sword with glowing energy gathered at the tip. In a powerful clash, Wang Qiu'er's palm hit the blade, shattering Juechen's sword and blasting a hole in the wall. Not stopping there, Wang Qiu'er followed up with a fierce left hook, sending Juechen flying into the wall. Her power left everyone in awe, especially Jin Zixuan, who thought, "She's even stronger than Huo Yuhao." Despite being thrown into the wall, Juechen stood back up and nodded in admiration. Wang Qiu'er coolly remarked, "Bring a better sword next time." Juechen, with eyes full of respect, agreed. After the fight, Wang Qiu'er turned to Huo Yuhao and told him to find her when they returned to the inner court, then walked away. Jin Zixuan, still shocked by Wang Qiu'er's strength, asked Huo Yuhao where he found such a powerful girl. Huo Yuhao coolly replied that everyone in the Tang sect was at that level, and if they wanted to spar in the future, they could find his senior brothers and sisters. Realizing they were penniless and needed a place to stay, Juechen and Jin Zixuan decided to join the Tang sect, with Huo Yuhao gifting Juechen the Judgment Sword, an 8th rank sword that was a perfect fit for him. As Jiangnanan took the new recruits to their residence, Bei joyfully remarked that the Tang sect was becoming more prosperous with such strong members. Huo Yuhao agreed but reminded Bei of their most important task, visiting teacher Xuan, who was crucial to the Tang sect's future development of soul-guided devices. Afterward, Huo Yuhao and Bei went to meet Xuan Ziwen, who was in the Tang sect's backyard, intently observing someone working on soul tools. When Huo Yuhao teased him about peeking at the Tang sect's secrets, Xuan Ziwen impatiently demanded to know the procedures for joining the Tang sect, as he couldn't bear being away from soul tool research any longer. Bei formally welcomed Xuan Ziwen as the deputy sect master, handing over all responsibilities related to soul tools. However, Xuan Ziwen was more interested in getting started with the original Tang sect materials, aiming to find inspiration for combining soul tools with hidden weapons. Huo Yuhao handed over the materials, including the humanoid soul tool, Zhuge divine crossbow, and other Tang sect hidden weapons, allowing Xuan Ziwen to immerse himself in his research. Later, Huo Yuhao had another idea and brought back the 2 dark golden terraclaw bear cubs, believing they could be trained into a secret weapon for the Tang sect. After all, an adult bear was as powerful as a titled duel. Bei and Shu Sanqi were shocked to see the bears but agreed with Huo Yuhao's plan. The next day, Mo Xuan, an inner court disciple, arrived at the Tang sect. Mo Xuan, deeply impressed by Huo Yuhao's all-terrain self-propelled artillery platform, had been eager to return after their brief training session on the platform. Mo Xuan, an auxiliary soul master, had been listed as a confidential existence by Shrek Academy due to his special abilities. With his unique soul skill, Halo Amplification, he could enhance the abilities of anyone within a kilometer-wide radius. Now, as a 6-ring soul emperor, his power had grown to affect a 6-kilometer radius, making him a valuable asset. His martial soul was found to be a rare, mutated, and non-replicable existence, amplifying his strength even further by resonating with elemental attributes in the air. Mo Xuan's ability was classified as a domain-type power. Although his attribute amplification wasn't as strong as other martial souls, like the 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda or the starlight martial soul, his skill was especially effective in large-scale situations. On the battlefield, Mo Xuan's ability could significantly enhance the strength of soldiers within his domain, especially in large numbers. The more people involved, the more pronounced the effect, making Mo Xuan a critical asset. Shrek Academy had already decided that once Mo Xuan's cultivation surpassed the level of an 8-ring soul duo, he would be allowed into the prestigious Sea God Pavilion. Despite the Academy's high regard for him, Mo Xuan was frustrated by always being in a support role. He longed to join the front lines of battle, and Huo Yuhao's self-propelled artillery platform provided him with hope of achieving this dream. Mo Xuan approached Huo Yuhao, expressing his desire to either learn how to use the platform or purchase it. Huo Yuhao hesitated, explaining that the platform had not been mass-produced and relied on the Tang sect's secret techniques. Realizing the difficulty of obtaining it, Mo Xuan made a bold decision and offered to join the Tang sect, thus binding himself to the sect's secrets. Huo Yuhao, initially cautious, was overjoyed by Mo Xuan's determination and quickly went to inform Bei. Bei was stunned by the rapid influx of new recruits to the Tang sect, recalling how in just a few days, Huo Yuhao had brought in members like Nana, Juechen, Jin Zishuan, and even 2 dark golden terror claw bear cubs. Now, Mo Xuan, a candidate for the Sea God Pavilion, was joining them. Bei was delighted and shared Mo Xuan's nickname in the inner court, War Controller, a title given to him by the dean himself. Huo Yuhao, initially unimpressed by Mo Xuan's halo amplification ability, was shocked when Bei explained that Mo Xuan's power was particularly effective in large-scale battles, capable of boosting the abilities of 100,000 people simultaneously. Recognizing the significance of Mo Xuan's potential, Huo Yuhao and Bei welcomed him to the Tang sect. Bei provided him with the mysterious Heaven Treasure Record for self-defense training, while Huo Yuhao promised to teach him how to use the self-propelled artillery platform and even custom-designed a soul tool specifically for Mo Xuan. With these efforts, the Tang sect continued to grow stronger, bolstered by the arrival of Mo Xuan, the war controller. Xuan Ziwen's arrival marked a leap in technological advancement for the Tang sect. His development of leak-proof soul power storage technology using sealed baby bottles had already been applied. He and Huo Yuhao decided that combining this sealed baby bottle with the Zhuji divine crossbow would result in a powerful soul tool accessible even to ordinary people. Depending on the materials used, the crossbow could deliver power ranging from rank 4 to rank 7, with a range between 1 to 5 kilometers. As long as there were enough charged sealed baby bottles, the crossbow could be used almost continuously. Huo Yuhao and Xuan Ziwen frequently engaged in discussions, always coming up with new ideas for soul tools. Xuan Ziwen quickly realized that there were countless projects he wanted to pursue, and his joining the Tang sect brought significant improvements to both the sect and the Soul Island Hall. Under his guidance, the Soul Island Hall became more efficient, but the expenses grew rapidly, with money flowing out like water. To keep up, Bei even borrowed gold coins from the Chamber of Commerce. Thankfully, their high-quality soul tools were selling well, ensuring profits. The next step was expanding the Soul Island Hall and recruiting more soul engineers. With the efforts of Bei and Kaito, Shrek Academy's Soul Tool Department introduced new practical courses, and the Academy fully supported the project. Many teachers and students were drawn to the Tang sect, eager to learn from Xuan Ziwen, whose expertise was invaluable. If not for his cultivation level falling short of titled Duel, Xuan Ziwen would already be a rank 9 soul engineer. In gratitude for his contributions, Bei and the others decided to rename the Soul Island Hall to Xuan Hall, placing it directly under Deputy Sect Master Xuan Ziwen's leadership. This solidified the foundation of the Tang sect, and with his presence, the sect was poised for great success. The Tang sect continued to flourish thanks to everyone's efforts. One morning at the Tang sect's training ground, the Shrek 7 devils were sparring with Juechen and Jin Ziyuan. During the match between Shu Sanqi and Jin Ziyuan, Shu Sanqi remained steady and immovable with his turtle shell martial soul, while Jin Ziyuan was sweating and panting heavily. Seeing this, Shu Sanqi turned cheeky, teasing Jin Ziyuan with his usual playful remarks. Despite her exhaustion, Jin Ziyuan rolled her eyes and continued fighting. Meanwhile, Juechen, wielding his sword of judgment, challenged Bei to a spar. The two began their fierce battle, while on the sidelines, Wang Qiu'er noticed Huo Yuhao was tired and urged him to rest. Huo Yuhao agreed but insisted on watching the sparring a bit longer. Suddenly, Shu Sanqi dramatically exclaimed, accusing Huo Yuhao of unfairness for spending time with Wang Qiu'er, while he struggled to even hold Zhang Nanan's hand. His comical outburst left Huo Yuhao and Wang Qiu'er speechless, with Wang Qiu'er calling him out for his inappropriate jokes. Despite her annoyance, Shu Sanqi continued making playful comments, even as Jin Ziyuan sighed at his antics. The fight between Beibei and Juechen concluded with Beibei's victory, thanks to his bright Saint Dragon Domain and Tyrant Thunder Jade. Afterward, Huo Yuhao returned to his residence with Wang Qiu'er. However, Wang Qiu'er, now suspicious, questioned Huo Yuhao about Wang Qiu'er's behavior during a previous visit. She pointed out that Wang Qiu'er seemed to act cold toward everyone, but softened when looking at Huo Yuhao, suggesting she might have feelings for him. Although Huo Yuhao reassured her that she was the only one in his heart, Wang Qiu'er still requested that he keep his distance from Wang Qiu'er. The next day, Beibei gathered Huo Yuhao and the others and led them to Shrek Academy. Upon arriving at the Sea God Pavilion, they saw a crowd of inner and outer court disciples already gathered, with Wang Qiu'er and Donghua standing at the front. Elder Xuan, seeing that everyone had arrived, began to address them, announcing the new tournament's name. The All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Elite Tournament was officially announced, with new rules allowing external teams to join and an increased focus on individual battles. After some words of encouragement, Yan Xiaojie revealed that Wang Qiu'er would be leading the new team, with members like Donghua, Mingqian, Zhulu, and Wu Feng. Upon hearing that Wang Qiu'er, a newcomer, was chosen as captain, Donghua was clearly displeased but had no choice but to hide his frustration. Yan Xiaojie suggested a sparring match between the new team and the Shrek 7 Devils to test their respective strengths. The rules were simple. The team that eliminated all its members first would lose. Wang Qiu'er was selected to start for Shrek, while Wang Qiu'er randomly picked a member from her team without consulting anyone, irritating Donghua. He accused Wang Qiu'er of setting them up for failure, even claiming she might be biased toward Wang Qiu'er, given their similar appearance. Wang Qiu'er, unfazed, firmly stated that sparring was about getting to know each other, and it didn't matter who went first. She warned that anyone disobeying her command could quit the team. Donghua, though angered, was held back by Zhulu while Wu Feng mocked Wang Qiu'er, asking if she and Wang Qiu'er were sisters. Wang Qiu'er's expression turned cold as she asserted that she and Wang Qiu'er were nothing more than opponents. Her fierce aura forced Wu Feng to step back, and even her martial soul involuntarily appeared due to the pressure. The sparring began, and Wang Qiu'er managed to defeat 4 of the new team members consecutively before becoming exhausted. Beibei asked her to step down, and Hikato took over. His soul guidance cannon quickly secured another victory for Shrek. Recognizing her team's disadvantage, Wang Qiu'er decided to step in. Her sudden decision caught Donghua and the others by surprise, as they assumed she would be the last to fight. Hikato, aware of Wang Qiu'er's overwhelming strength, grew cautious, having witnessed her defeat Juechen in just 2 moves. As Yan Xiaojie signaled the match to start, Wang Qiu'er's body emitted a dazzling golden light. She stomped her left foot, causing the ground beneath her to cave in, signaling the beginning of what would surely be a fierce battle. As Wang Qiu'er charged towards Hikato like a golden lightning bolt, the members of the new team stood in awe, stunned by the pit left behind from her powerful stomp. They couldn't help but exclaim, "Is that Wang Qiu'er even human?" Hikato had initially planned to use his soul guidance cannon turret tactic, but before he could deploy it, Wang Qiu'er was already upon him. In a quick reaction, he abandoned the turret plan and activated a soul guidance shield, releasing a barrage of cannon shots to try and stop her. Yet, Wang Qiu'er charged head-on into the attack, unleashing the phantom of the golden dragon behind her. The golden dragon spear she wielded turned into a flash of lightning, hurtling toward Hikato. Realizing the danger, Hikato released additional defensive measures, including the Guardian Angel Cannon, a 7th-rank shield capable of holding for 30 seconds. However, the spear shattered the shield and continued its relentless path toward him. In a desperate attempt, Hikato pulled out his giant hammers to block the spear, managing to deflect it with a loud crash. But just as he thought he had avoided the attack, Wang Qiu'er teleported beside him, gripping the golden dragon spear tightly and smashing it toward his head like a descending goddess of war. He Kaito tried to block with his hammers, but the force of the blow was like being hit by a mountain. He was pinned to the ground from the knees down, his arms going numb from the impact. Wang Qiu'er, with the spear now aimed at his throat, left Kaito staring at the embodiment of death. Just as his breath caught, Yan Shaozhu declared, "Wang Qiu'er wins." Wang Qiu'er set Kaito's dislocated arm back in place before stepping away. Kaito could only thank her with a bitter smile, knowing he had no chance against her overwhelming strength. Meanwhile, Dai Huabin, who had been openly critical of Wang Qiu'er, stood in silent disbelief, unable to imagine what would have happened if he had been in Kaito's place. With Wang Qiu'er's absolute dominance, any doubts about her leadership as captain vanished. Bei, noticing Huo Yuhao's turn had come, patted him on the shoulder, encouraging him to step forward. As Huo Yuhao reluctantly prepared to take his place, his teammates pretended not to notice, leaving him to face the next challenge on his own. The episode ended with a teaser for the next, promising more action and some light-hearted moments, including an intriguing scene involving Huo Yuhao and Wang Donghua.